Hey, everybody, this is Micah Lieberman once again coming at you with a Voices of Scope interview where I get to just talk to interesting people doing interesting work in clinical research. So today I have Prasanna Rao. Prasanna has been involved in Scope forever. So let me introduce you formally, Prasanna. Well, not very formally. So currently you're Chief Products and Innovation Officer at Saama. Got the logo behind you. I know you're currently in India. You travel a lot. You have an enormous team. Formerly, you were global head of AI and machine learning and data monitoring and management at Pfizer. And that's kind of where I got to know you. And also, forever, you've been a Scope US speaker, keynote panelist, Scope Europe, and Scope X in Boston in May. You're involved in doing a workshop there. So you've always been a volunteer for us, for me and Marina and Scope. So thank you for always being basically a teacher, like a person in the industry who's willing to share, and that's important. So, how's travel going, man? How you doing?
It's been one heck of a ride with the minute you kind of close your eyes and look, there's a brand new large language model and there's
Yep.
something new. So every day you're learning something new that keeps me on my toes, and I love it. Right, this is where we can make a huge difference for the patients.
Yeah. Yeah, and your job is very exciting. That's a big jump, and in some ways it's not. You and I talked about that, two large organizations embracing technology, trying to move things forward. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very broad question based on some of the discussions we had at Scope and some of the panels and the workshops you're doing. And you're the right person to ask this because if it was if it was an article in a regular like industry magazine, I don't know if I would click on it because it would be too general. But I think you're so knowledgeable and in the weeds. I want to ask a very broad question and let you drill down. So, what do you think about agentic AI and where we are now and as it relates to clinical development specifically? I'm going to let you take that where you want.
Yeah, so it's an interesting mix of people, process, and technology in clinical development, right? Now, people and processes, we built a magnificent team of people, cross-functional people, who know exactly what their roles are and do exactly what's in their SOP, and they kind of deliver to perfection for any clinical trial, right? Now, technology, on the other hand, has changed. You've gone anywhere from AI, or I should say even machine learning first, and then it was NLP and AI, then came Gen AI, and then large language models, and now everybody is talking about agentic, right?
Mhm,
A lot of people ask me this. It's like, hey, is this yet another hype, right?
mhm.
I would say no, it's not, right? And there's a reason for that, which is, about 10 years ago, pharma invested in RPA, robotic process automation, right?
Mhm.
So the people process part of it was kind of covered, right? We went and mapped, like when I was at Pfizer, we mapped like 200 different processes, and we figured out how to make some of them automated, right? Something as simple as, okay, you're manning a inbox, you're getting case reports in an inbox. Just go read the subject and figure out where to route it. Is it going through
Mhm.
safety? Is it going to compliance, and so on, right? So simple bot,
Yes.
right? Then after that, it got better, right? So AI models started to do some real learning. It's started to kind of look at other studies, comparative studies, and kind of come up with the insights and recommendations, right? And then came the Gen AI era, which it created a whole slew of excitement because a lot of pharma text is now automatable, whether it's creation of a CSR or
Yeah.
any kind of a spec and all that, right? Now, when it comes to reasoning, the models got so powerful, right? There was a time when large language models beat humans in the U.S. medical licensing exam, right? So
Yeah.
basically the model itself is a doctor, right? You're
Yeah.
talking several years ago that was. Now it's surpassed that because now it's gone from just being an MD to a specialist oncologist, specialist
Yeah.
radiologist, and,
Yeah.
and so on and
Yeah.
so forth, right? Ask it anything, it knows and it reasons with you, right? You can
Yeah.
kind of challenge it and all that, right? Now you take that and couple that with automation. That's what agentic is, right? It's like really a reasoning model on steroids. It can adapt, it can plan for itself, right? So when we had the constraints on just the LLM, where it would say, look, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Like if you say, go look at clin trials and give me all the studies there which are XYZ, it would say, "Oh, sorry, you can search it yourself. Here's the link." Right? That was not so elegant when you started using ChatGPT. Right? Now try the same. It'll like, oh, wait a minute. I got 3 ways to crack open clintras.gov. I'll go through an API. I'll go through this. I'll go through that. And here's all the things you asked for. And oh, by the way, can I do this for you after this? Right? It's like getting so sophisticated that
Yes.
it knows you. Right? So I'm very excited. I think this is the time for a lot of people to upskill and reskill, because otherwise that role will perish, right? And I see a lot of roles being consolidated. No longer will you see data manager doing this and center monitoring doing that and clinical review doing this, and a lot of that role consolidation will happen because now you have an agent for everything. Technology will be that role consolidator. So now those roles, what they'll do is they'll be the critical observers of what these models are doing, right? And they'll be
Okay.
the ones doing.
That's
Yeah.
that's an important point, right? So I want to ask something because optimistically, reskilling, upskilling is a positive thing. Saying, okay, wait, I have very skilled people in this department within my company running that aspect of the trial, whether they're a data manager, they're a risk-based, they're a monitoring person, or they're a recruitment person, or they're doing site selection. There's these, and these are people with a lot of experience. So at Scope, there was a really interesting, like, kind of statement about it was during the keynote, and it was your friend and mine, Dimitri, said, I don't necessarily need a whole bunch of more agents. I have these amazing people that know the organization, they know their trial, every trial is unique. Um, I need them. He wanted to use the word assistant, right? And it's nuance, it's language, but it's meaningful. So I think what you just said is optimistic. We need our teams to upskill and reskill because there is going to be role consolidation. Some people will hear that and say, "Oh, this is downsizing. This we're going to lose the human touch. We're going to lose that institutional knowledge." I don't think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying that we're go we're going to free some of these people up to do more meaningful work, which will be an overall driver of getting medicines through drug development and clinical trials more quickly. Am I being too optimistic? Is that kind of what you're leading to? Prasanna, when people hear role consolidation, reskilling, and upskilling, they could hear negative or they could hear positive.
No, you're absolutely right. I think it should be taken in the right spirit, right? Because if you look at smaller pharma, you don't have that many roles. It's a single person doing a
True.
lot of work, right? And they're also doing the same, which is basically bringing drugs to the market as quickly as they can, right?
Yep.
Now, with bigger pharma, since the pipeline is many different compounds and you're going through several clinical trials all at once, uh, the role clarity was important because then you can push through those compounds to the pipeline quicker. Because
Yep.
if you're focusing just on data management, you're like looking at this as like a conveyor belt, right? In and out, right? And I agree with what Dimitri is saying. It's an assistant, right? I never said or meant to say agents are going to be autonomous decision makers. Not at all. Right?
Absolutely. No, I 100%. We need to say that out loud. 100%. I know that. Yes.
Yeah. So they could be autonomous planners, right? So I mean, if you think about an agent as, look, can it plan in a way where it is autonomously planning, but then that becomes your assistant, right? It's like your personal assistant. If you know what your goal
Yeah.
is and you define your task, and coincidentally we use the same terms, the technology terms are similar. We say goals, tasks, and skills, right?
Yes.
Those are the three things which are important for an agent. To define an agent, let's suppose it's a data manager agent. What is the goal? Clean data. What are the tasks?
Yeah.
Okay, reconcile data this way, that
Yep.
way, right? And then what are the skills? It's the ingesting the data, looking at the data, understanding whether it's adverse event, whether it's this or that, right? Those are the skills which we are building as technologists, right? But there'll still be a human who is that expert, who will assemble those goals and tasks in a way they can exploit the skills,
Yes.
right?
And you're freeing them up. Ideally, you're freeing them up to get out of the battlefield, to get up a little higher. They get to be a general. They don't have to be in the trenches where they don't have the perspective. So ideally, and this is happening. I'm seeing it even in with me and some of my colleagues and some of our work, it is an absolute enabler. It's not that we're still not hiring people and doing it's just it's an absolute enabler. It's kind of amazing, like what you said of 6 months ago to today, scope last year versus this year. It's phenomenal. And one more question. So what like there's so many good case studies and you have a lot of clients. What do you like? What is one of the functions or one of the tasks or one of the places, pain points within clinical research, knowing scope, knowing our audience? What are you most excited about considering the use of agentic AI to solve problem X?
Yeah. So in the vast array of use cases, right? Any place
Yes.
where I see a lot of data and a lot of need for analysis is the right place to deploy an agent, right? So now
Okay.
there are two types of agents. There's a task-based agent, which just goes and does a task for me. And there's an evolving concept called a persona-based agent, right?
Okay.
Now that one will be like the junior data manager of the future, right? So
Okay.
now that's the one where I'm most excited, right? So how do I
Okay.
impart those skills and make that junior data manager persona understand what a goal is, plan for itself, how to accomplish that goal, look for the tasks which are allowed, and it can even now jump and work on different sessions like a human. What I mean by that is, suppose you want to go log into a lab system, go get some data, go log into EDC system, go get some data, log into a safety system, go get some data, put them all together, analyze it, okay, and do this in a way where you're not persisting any information because of data privacy and things like that, and come back with a reasoned response and saying, look, I found this. Okay, it can do that. So that is really the job of an analyst or a junior data manager, right?
Okay.
And that is
Yeah.
fascinating because you can see it in
Yes.
real time. It's like opening, doing this, I'm doing this, and it
Yes.
tell you what it's doing, right? So that's the exciting part to see how
Yeah.
well it is doing its task.
That's amazing. Okay, last question. So what's there for right now you're bounced when we were emailing you were in Germany, you were in the US, now you're in India. What's the best dessert that you're going to have this week in India?
Oh, there is a South Indian dessert which is made up of milk. It's like condensed milk with a lot
Mhm.
of cardamom and cashews on it. And my
Nice.
brother is making it for me, so I'm really
All right.
excited to taste it.
All right, get out of here. That
Thank you
sounds
so
like a
much.
good thing. Cool. Thanks,
Thank
Prasanna.
you.
Good
Thank you.
conversation, buddy. Good to see
All
you.
right, thanks.